All right, so my article by Utopia kind of goes over 3 ways to support military kids in your future classroom and in your classroom if you're a teacher now. And I really like how this article kind of sets it up. It's really clear, really straight to the point, and really has 3 ways that I think I could kind of implement in my own classroom, and I think I relate to in a great way. So the first thing that they have in the article is make your class routines and maybe just routines around the school, make them expectations really clear to that student, because that student has probably been to multiple schools where expectations and routines are different in each school. So when that student kind of comes into your classroom, make your rule, if you have classroom rules, which I'm sure you do, like classroom management rules, make sure to let them know that what those things are, so they're not kind of doing whatever they want or doing things that may not be, that was maybe looked at as doing good in their other school but not in your classroom or at your school. You just want those kids to feel comfortable in a new environment. You don't want them to feel like they have no idea what they're doing when other kids are doing something in the classroom they've been doing all year, but this brand new student has kind of come in and doesn't know those expectations of the room. So just explain to those kids clear expectations of your rule set in your room, and maybe just clear rules of just the school district in general. I thought that was great and something that definitely I could definitely see myself using and definitely see myself doing. I think that's really important to make sure that those kids have that reliability of the teacher to kind of explain those things to them, because they may have not been told that yet. So I think that's really great. Another thing that they talked about in the article was kind of look for academic gaps. So I know even for when I moved from schools, I only moved one time when I was a child, but I know for math, like I had taken maybe like pre-algebra one year, but then I went to my other school and I was kind of put in like algebra 1 when I hadn't completely learned what I needed to in like pre-algebra yet to move up to algebra 1. So I mean, and like the article says, kind of a similar thing where one kid might be learning, you know, material of one class in a different school, and then coming over to another school where they have them take a different class because they don't have that class that they were taking or it took at their other school. So I mean, I think this is definitely big in like math. It's probably the biggest area where you move from like algebra to geometry. So a kid might be taking geometry in the new school they moved to, but haven't learned what they needed to do, in algebra 1 and pre-algebra yet. So I think we just need to find ways as teachers to kind of bridge that gap of that learning to make sure that they're understanding what they need to understand with the material and that they're not falling behind because they're so used to one thing in their other school and then they move to a new school that's a completely different curriculum. So I think we need to find a way as teachers to kind of bridge that gap, kind of just find ways to help them. And I think a great way to do this is like pre-assessments to kind of see what kids know and see what they need to continue to work on. I think pre-assessments could be great here, and that's something that the article brings up as well. And I think that's definitely something I would use in my future classroom, is something like a pre-assessment to see what kids already know about my topic in the classroom, to see what they need help on, what they need further kind of just evidence on for sure. And like the third thing is to just focus on relationships. So there's no doubt that being a new kid in school is tough. I had to go through it one time. It was one of the toughest things I ever did as a kid, and I was in the middle school age. Um, so I think one of the best things you can do as a teacher is kind of at the beginning of the year, or even if it's like midway through the year when they come, just have like a class introduction, to have everybody go around and introduce themselves, and have the military kid introduce themselves as well, because those military kids have probably seen some awesome things, because they could be all around, they could have been to different countries or all around United States. So I'm sure they probably have some great stories of some interesting things that even kids in this school that they're at now have never seen them before in their lives. And I think that could be something that could really introduce themselves with and kind of get kids and build relationships and build friendships in the new school. That's really important, because I know friendships are really important for all kids, especially for kids that are new to an area. And be able to build those friendships through interesting stories like that is something I could definitely see them be interested in. And students that are from the hometown school that the kid just moved to could also have interesting stories of things around the area that maybe the new kid didn't know about, and that can maybe make them interested in things around the school district and around the town that they moved to, and just make them a little bit more interested in things around the environment. Um, I think seating charts could also be a way to kind of influence this. I think seating charts, if they're done right, can be really done well. Just make sure to kind of put the military kid around kids who seem like they'd be good fits together. So maybe there's another kid in the classroom who is from a military family. So you can match them together in a seating chart to kind of have them build their relationship and kind of make that military kid that just came here feel more comfortable. So I think those three things, the building relationships, building or looking at the academic gaps and kind of closing those academic gaps is great. And then the first one was, of course, making your routines and classroom kind of management rules kind of very prevalent, kind of just making them known to the student to make sure that they understand what's going on in the classroom are all three great things. And I look to implement those if I ever have a military kid in my future classroom for sure.